Good afternoon, IB Juniors. Sorry about the delay in the video for the internal oral presentation, but I am finally getting it out. And for some reason, this video, the QuickTime tends to do echo, so I do apologize for that. I've messed around with the recordings and I still can't quite get it out, so I do apologize for that. So to find the internal oral presentation information, go to the classwork page here and you can do a number of things to find it. It's in the reading assignment, so you can go to all topics here and go to reading assignments. If you have a smaller screen, you can drag it down like this as well. Okay, it'll be down here in the reading assignments, and on it you will find the actual internal oral presentation assignment that goes into all the details, and you'll also find the rubric here as well. So let's first go to the assignment as well. Like I said in class, it is a literary analysis, but you are orally giving this literary analysis. You are going to select from one or more of the works, and you can do all three, you can do two, or you can just do one. It's up to you. But you can only choose these three. So the Communist Manifesto, Mouse, and Slaughterhouse-Five are the only three that you can choose. So because this is kind of an open presentation, some students have a hard time with it. It's part of the reason why we did the internal or the IOP brainstorms, because you had no prompt, but you could create your own prompt. So you want your topic to be very focused, but you also don't want it too focused that you can't get 10 to 15 minutes either in it. So if you pick something like race and gender, that is way too broad of a topic. However, if you take race and gender and then go and find, come up with your own prompt or idea or topic, and, race and gender could be how racial hierarchy is set up in the novels and the way it impacts on gender. And rather than doing power relations, you could say the way different characters' power is presented through the use of language. And that's perfectly fine. You are going to select, just like any literary analysis paper, everything we've done in class, you need to select appropriate direct textual support from the text itself. You're going to be looking at the literary technique, you're going to be looking at their language, you're going to be looking at all of this, and it's based on whatever your thesis statement or point of view is. It behooves you to go look at the IOP rubric. It is here, but this also includes other categories as well. So the first three deals with the presentation itself, and these are what is required by IB. So you need to show knowledge and understanding of the work. So it's not just did you comprehend the work, but do you understand it? Are you looking at it originally? Are you looking at the characterization? Are you looking at the different literary techniques? Are you looking and appreciating the author's choices? Those are things, so just like you would do in a supervised writing and also in the works in translation and everything we do in class, you need to show, yes, I know the text, but do I truly understand the text? And that's where the analysis part comes in. You're also graded on your presentation. You are trying to make your presentation highly effective, interesting, as well as, not talking monotone, being very audible. So if the air conditioner is too loud, I can hear you in the back of the room. You also need to make sure you're making eye contact. You're not just facing the board or your notes or what have you. So you need to make sure that you are presenting the material and not just trying to get through it or read it to the class. So you actually need to present. So present as you would want to be presented to, and nobody wants to be read to. Nobody wants to look at the back of the head of somebody. They actually want to see a presentation. The other portion of it is language. So it's the appropriateness of a language, and it depends on what your presentation is. If you're doing a straight literary analysis, and most likely you would need to have a formal register. But maybe if you're doing a creative reinterpretation of one of the characters, you would want to talk in the register that the character talks in that the author utilized. Excuse me. So you're want to think about what vocabulary you're using. This is where you bring in your literary terms vocabulary. Are you talking in fragments? Are you making sense? Is the terminology appropriate? This is what you're looking at. You can be very, very highly effective in this. Just make sure to call a character, and don't just say, hey, that guy that's in the book. You want to utilize the right kind of terminology in it. The other two categories that you're going to be graded on are ones that I have stuck in there to get you to contribute, as well as to add more points to your IOP, because if I just do the first three, some people don't get as high of as graded, and this is a way to kind of give you a way. If you're not as effective in your IOP, maybe because you're not good at presentations, this is a way to increase your grade. So you'll need to participate at least 5 times as an audience member. Either generate a question, maybe a thoughtful response, something kind of that. And it's more than, hey, I liked what you said. It's, hey, you said this and I found this interesting, and go a little bit more in depth into it. You'll need to do that at least 5 times. If you are in fifth block, you have 20 times to do this in. So there's no reason why you can't do 5 times. If you're in seventh block, you have 17 times that you can get 5 contributions in. So this is kind of a give me to you. It also makes sure that you stay kind of in tune with the presentations. You're also graded in you as an audience member. Are you on your phone? Are you eating and being loud? Are you just acting bored and sleeping or whatever? This accounts in this too as well. You need to be attentive as throughout the entire presentation, from the very first presentation to the very last. This is a very nerve-wracking experience for the person who's actually presenting, and to show etiquette towards them is a great thing, because they're doing something like you will be doing something that is you put so much investment in, and to have somebody look like they're not even listening is not the best thing to do. Another thing that I ask you to do is did you do things on time? Did you do the formal outline? Did you give me a proposal? Was it approved on time? And we'll go over what those are in a minute when I go back over to the presentation. So the length of your presentation should be 10 to 15 minutes. You have to talk at least 10 minutes for your actual presentation. The information that you're actually presenting to the class, that here, this is what I thought of, this is my analysis, that has to be at least 10 minutes. 5 minutes of it can just be a pure discussion with the class. Now, you don't have to talk just for 10 and give them 5 minutes. You could talk for 10, 12, 14. You can talk for the all 15 minutes as a presentation if you wish to. This is your presentation, so you make the decision of what is most effective. Now, for some people who get up there and they present and they got a good 10 to 12 minutes, like, we're good. And then they get up during presentation day and the nerves get a little bit much, and so they end up talking faster and they end up with like 9 minutes. So I highly suggest that you have more information than you need to present. And also you'll need to be practicing this so you know how much time this is. But also you might lose time during the actual presentation because also of your comfort level. As you become more comfortable with it, you tend to get a little bit faster and more concise with your information. So there will be discussion after it. So be prepared to answer questions. Questions should not be a gotcha type of thing, but should be to kind of flesh out more. And these can actually help your grade, because maybe if you didn't really talk about one aspect of it a little bit more, the questions actually help and show that you do show knowledge and understanding of the text. Any visual aids that you use, and visual aids can be anything from props, it can be videos, it can be the actual slideshow. it doesn't really matter what it is, but it's also to enhance your presentation. So if it's just there, if you're just doing a slideshow because it's your notes and it's filled with information, that's not a very effective prop. And when I see that, when you submit it 2 days prior, I'll tell you that this is what you need to do. If you do use a video, say you use a 5-minute video as a prop, and you talk for 5 minutes, your time for your actual presentation is only 5 minutes. So be careful of that your video part of it needs to be very short if you are going to use a video. So be very careful with that. I have already done the scheduling for the IOP schedule. And if you click on these dates right here, you will find this document that comes up that's for 5th block and for 7th block. If for any reason, and you have until Tuesday to tell me of any conflicts, please let me know. And I will do what I can do to move things around and talk to students and so forth. But I need to know by Tuesday in class if there are any conflicts in this. I want to also remind you that if you are going on exam day, and that would be June 10th for 5th block or June 12th for 7th block, you will not be exempt from the exam. You will also not be exempt from coming on exam day if you have not completed all your participations, and I'll let you know that right before exam time. So keep in mind, you are only exempt from coming from exam day if you have completed your presentations and your participation as an audience member. Let's see. I already said that. Keep in mind that these presentations cannot be interrupted for any reason. So I turn off the PA system, I turn off the phone, I don't answer the door, and you cannot answer the door either during presentations. So we can only interrupt in between presentations. So if you have to go to the bathroom, make sure you do it in between presentations, and then you'll have to just wait outside the door until we open it to let you back in if you have to go to the bathroom. If you have an early release, please let me know, and then I will just sit you outside, and you can, when you need to leave, you can just leave at that time. I also let the staff as well as attendants know that if they need a student, so if the dean needs a student, attendants need students for early release or whatever, they have to email me. We do not open the door for anybody. So please make sure that you understand that. Also, there can be no eating during this time because it can be a distraction to the presenter, and it's frankly just quite rude. So just please make sure that there are no interruptions of the actual presentations. In between the presentations, you can move around, you can talk, but then once the presentation starts, you need to make sure it's a quiet audience. Let's see. So when you're choosing a topic, you're choosing a focus. This list is not the end all be all. You can do something outside of this. You can do something that's here. So maybe you're going to look at the cultural setting. Maybe you're going to look more at thematic, characterization. Maybe you're going to look at a comparison of plot lines. I mean, there is so much that you can do here, especially since you can use all three works. Additionally, your focus needs to definitely show your knowledge and understanding of all the works you choose. If you do 1, 2, or 3, you need to show that in all 3. You need to show an appreciation of the author's choices. So all of these are important in order to do an effective IOP. So the structure of the IOP is up to you. Whatever activity you choose to do is totally up to you. If you want to do a straight literary analysis, which is, this is my thesis, this is my support, this is why I say this is this, and this is my conclusion, that's perfectly fine. You can also do a creative part of it. And So here's some creative ideas um, that you could choose from. So these are suggested activities. This is not an end all or be all of some of the literary as well as the creative. So um, you can examine a particular interpretation of the work. So you can look at different interpretations of the work. You can look at a particular image, idea, symbol in one text and compare it to another. You can give a performance, any type of performance you want to do. You could do a character monologue. You could even do an interpretive dance if you wish to. You could do a monologue or dialogue between characters. You could do reminisce the character at a different point later in life. You could do that. You could do an author's reaction. So these are different creative ideas that you can do. If you are going to choose the creative aspect, do not choose that unless you're comfortable with it. If you are comfortable, getting up there and performing, that is perfectly fine, and you should do it if that's something you want to do. Don't let this be the first time you ever do a creative monologue, especially if you're not comfortable with it. If it's something you are, because I have seen very effective character monologues for students who are not normally in the dramatic mode. I have seen some awesome things. I've also seen students take works that they might not be exactly comfortable with. A student last year did not like poetry, had no love of poetry, struggled with poetry as we were going through it, and the student picked poetry for the IOP and did a phenomenal job because she became comfortable with it. She prepared for it. So even though you may not think that's your comfort zone, it might end up being your comfort zone. So don't rule out anything, but also don't do something that you don't have the time to prepare and become comfortable with. Um, so here are some important dates. So you need to select your proposed works that you want to do, and I think I need to send out that selection process. So I will send that out to you. Your IOP presentation dates have been assigned. I will give out your IOP brainstorms. Fifth block got the IOP brainstorms from the Inferno. No, I'm sorry, the Communist Manifesto on Friday. I forgot to give it to seventh block. I will also give the IOP brainstorms. I will have them all on Monday. You guys are more than welcome to come and stop by on Monday to get them, or I will just pass them out on Tuesday to you so you can choose. So that's part of the reason why I haven't given you the Google form for the IOP presentation selections. Your proposal is due to me by May 17th. So you're going to use one of these two forms. They're down here. If you're going to do an analytical thesis, you just write your name, date, block. You need to have a formal outline for this when you attach it. For when you're actually doing your proposal, don't worry about it not being fully fleshed. That will be finally fully fleshed by the end of your presentation. You'll put the work study, what aspect you're studying, your thesis statement, the specific sentences or sections of the work you're going to address, describe your understanding and interpretation of the author's ideas and techniques, the goals for the audience understanding, and how you intend to present. That includes any of your props that you're doing, that kind of thing. Also remember, you need to, when you're doing this, you need to have the outline with the MLA works cited, and you'll be sending this to me via email, and that should be sent to me by the 17th. Yours should be approved by the 22nd or whatever date your presentation is. So for Elias, Sydney, Samantha, Jeremy, and Jazane, you should have an approved proposal by the 22nd. If you don't, you're still going to present. It's just not going to be as developed, unfortunately. But I always do precedence to whoever's going to go first on it. You also, if you decide that you want to do the creative portion of the the IOP, you will need to complete this. With this, you need to tell me what your product is. It doesn't have to be something physical. It can be something that you're dressing up or whatever. You need to have a statement of intent, also an outline of your presentation, and an MLA's style works cited page as well. You're going to describe the understanding and interpretation of the author's ideas and techniques in regard to the topic you've selected. You're going to tell me about your presentation. What is it going to look like? Is it a monologue? Are you going to be this character, that character? Are you going to be doing an interpretive dance? Whatever you want to do. So where are you focusing on the text? Are you, being two books? What part of the books are you doing? The ideas of maybe characterization in both of the books, that kind of thing. Then you need to tell me how you intend to explore the aspects that you've selected for it. And that goes back to your understanding and interpretation of the author, as well as the focus. And also giving some specific sentences and sections of the work that you intend to address. Please include the statement of intent. And the statement of intent is basically, I am doing this, and this is what I hope to gain from it, and this is what I hope the audience will gain from it. This is basically why you are doing the presentation as you're doing it, and what you hope the understanding would be for it. Down here is just the internal assessment, 15%. This is the same as this with the first three, but it's a little bit more, this is more developed, and you can see each of the categories. This is just the basic, showing knowledge and understanding, presentation, as well as language. The IOP is worth 30 marks, and it's 15% of the overall language and literature component of your IB diploma. So your works and translations 25, and this is 15, and your other components are done during senior year. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to email me. I would suggest that as soon as possible, you get your creative or your analytical presentation form to me, and I will give feedback until it is finally approved. I will send out the form for the IOPs, and then you can also look at your IOP brainstorm, and you can always change kind of what you're doing as you go along. Just remember, if you have an approved proposal form and you decide to add a book, to take a book out, you're going to have to submit the proposal form again to get it approved. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it. But you can change things as much as you need to up until, of course, the date of your presentation. So please do not hesitate to come see me, to ask me questions via email. I usually respond to things for the works on translation and the IOP like almost immediately because of how timely it is. Some of the other emails I don't, because it is not as timely as this, and as you guys have so many deadlines. So please let me know if you have any questions,